right, let's get started. Welcome to episode 11 of the Benchwarmers Perspective. Today I'm here with Montague head coach Nick Thaler and Montague assistant basketball coach Bailey Bertapelle. So you guys we're getting close to the start of the season now. What's the first game on the schedule this year?
I think the first game for us is actually Hart, and it's November 26th, so it's coming up pretty quick for us.
That's on the road too, isn't it?
It's on the road, and actually first practice start November 11th. So we're getting pretty close to the start of the season. We're excited about it.
So a lot of people know about it, the new gym. How do you think that's going to impact, the remainder? I know you won't get it till about possibly halfway through the season. How is that going to impact everything, the season and all that?
I think it's great. I think the kids are obviously excited. The students are excited. I think our community is excited about it too. It's just going to provide a whole different level of, camaraderie for our school, our student body. I'm excited for it because it gives our youth something to have, right? We're going to have a facility where they're going to be able to develop a little bit more, be able to shoot on baskets where they can actually get it to the basket, which I think is important for that development. Like you got second and third graders coming to your camp. We didn't really have hoops that can go down. So that makes it a challenge. And I think for them too, just seeing that, I think it's going to drive them a little bit more to want to be a part of something like that. And it's going to be great. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah. So you guys are both, from what I know, both from Grand Haven. Mm-hmm. Give me a little bit of backstory and your backstory and how you got to Montague and kind of growing up in Grand Haven, because I've been to Grand Haven like 3 times.
Yeah. So. Well, I'll be honest. Like, I didn't really know where Montague was at for the longest time.
Okay. Shot.
So that's the start there.
Okay.
And then Nick asked me if I wanted to come help coach, and I was like, yeah, sure. I'll look it up where it's at, and yeah, we'll go there. Sure.
It's in the middle of
my JV year, he was one of the assistant coaches, and that's where the connection kind of started there. Mm-hmm. And then I jumped down with girls for a season. Went full time at my job, so I stepped down for a little bit, and he asked me to come back for boys. So
you work at I can't ever remember the acronym.
It's NORA, N-O-R-A.
Yeah, NORA, that's right.
Stands for Northwest Ottawa Recreation Authority.
So what do you guys do there?
So I'm the league coordinator, so we run all the adult softball leagues in Grand Haven. Mm-hmm. We have dodgeball, kickball, basketball stuff. We have a 4th grade basketball league that I run, 5th and 6th grade basketball league.
Yeah.
A couple other things like that, but.
Gotcha. So then your backstory.
So I actually graduated from Mona Shores in 2001, and when I came back from college, working at Western for 2010 was my last year, and I wanted to get into more coaching in the area. And I knew a lot of guys from Grand Haven. The varsity coach at that time was Steve Hewitt, and Bob Edson coached the JV boys there. And working with Coach Edson, like the guy coached basketball for 40 years. He's in the Hall of Fame for the state of Michigan, and he's just some of the things that he would do would be like are so interesting because he's a great teacher of the game, but he would also kind of get on the students, like kind of razz them a little bit, which I do enjoy that because it's just out of nowhere. Like he never had a whistle because he was able to whistle just by like using his hands or just using his tongue to make that loud noise. Mm-hmm. He would be like, fellas. But he was a really good teacher and just coached the game well. Yeah. And for him being there with like Craig Thaler and Al Schaefer and even for the first couple of years with Coach Emick, like having that level of consistency where he's been there, he knows all the kids was great. And coaching Bailey, or at least helping with Bailey, like he's always one that worked hard, and I kind of knew like he would be somebody that kids would look up to, because he just wants to help, right? He wants to develop the younger kids and work with them, and they look up to him, which is ideal for myself, like because I like doing that stuff too. Like I just want to help people. So it's, for us, we work well together. Yeah, we talk a lot of sports. We both kind of like Michigan State.
Kind of.
I really like Michigan State.
You and Josh Walters get into it.
There's no other team to like, right? I mean,
I don't know who else you would like.
I know. Who you kind of just a little bit?
What? I'm an Izzo guy, like Izzo. Just because when he's in town in Grand Haven, like we run into him sometimes because his cottage house is right by my godmother's cottage, just right there in Grand Haven, like on the beach. And Emick was a grad assistant there, so if we do see him, it's very random that we see him, and it's always great to run into him. But he's always doing something in Grand Haven, so it's nice. But I like the way he does things.
Yeah.
I'm more of a Carolina guy as far as where my allegiance stands with basketball.
Oh my.
Yeah.
I mean, good program, I guess.
Yeah.
You
Solid.
can't really hate on it.
You can't, but
It could be worse. It could be Duke.
Yeah, it's no. Not,
I take Duke over North Carolina.
Duke's like Alabama football, kind of.
Yeah, but Coach K, I mean, like, he's not really there anymore, but
Yeah.
he is there. He's just not on camera.
yeah,
I'm sure
I mean-
Shire's teaching all the same stuff he taught him.
probably.
There's
Shire's very good. He's a young guy, he knows his stuff, and he's been doing a good job.
Yeah. So coming up, you're about to start the season. What's kind of the outlook for the season? What are some of the goals you guys have for this Montague team? And kind of let's dive into that a little bit.
So this summer we spent a lot of time with the guys, just getting them together and playing. And I thought that was great going into it. And we went to Hope, went to Grand Valley, went to Western. So it's a lot of different teams that we're playing and different units that are playing together with a bunch of different guys. Looking back at it, I might have went at it a different route because we weren't ready. Like we're jumping right from spring. Like not a lot of my guys play AAU, not because they don't want to or not that they can't. We have a lot.
At this moment, we would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Park Place Sports. Want to support your local athletics program? Look no further than Park Place Sports. As a leader in banner and sponsorship program for athletes, they provide top-notch services to help your team shine. Visit their Facebook page, Park Place Sports, LLC, and see how they can elevate your athletic program today. Park Place Sports, your partner in athletic excellence.
A lot of multi-sport athletes at Monty.
Yeah.
So the spring sports are done, or they go into June, and we get 1 or 2 practices to put some basics in, and then you go into playing these games, and you're playing a team that has 1,400 kids for your first game. So it gets interesting.
Well, I think our baseball players, they lost, the week before our first games?
So.
So, when we were just starting out, Bailey and I just said, look, let's just compete. Like, that's all I care about. Like, are the kids playing hard? Does it look like they're building a bond together as a team? And I thought for the most part, as the summer went on, I thought that the guys started to gel better once we got to the end of the summer when we were playing. I think it was at Grand Valley was our last one.
Yep.
But we'd never had like our full group of guys for summer, that's what you get, right? It's baseball. There's football,
you got travel baseball. You got 7-on-7s for football. You have football practice because they start earlier than any other sport apparently, and it's hard to get every guy there. So
it really is. So I'm excited for the fact that I think that we're going to have a product on the floor that competes all the time, and I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. So speaking on the kind of AAU thing, a question that I posed to Rick Zulik when we had him on a few weeks ago was how do you think AAU and travel leagues can both hurt and help athletes and specifically basketball players going into their season?
I think with AAU, I think just in America as a whole, I think we play too much. I think we play too much basketball. I think it should be a model where, we're playing less and practicing more.
Yeah.
The problem is that we don't get that time with kids just based on like constrictions from MHSAA and NCAA. Like you only get a certain number of dates with your guys, right? I think that if we had more time to develop our kids, the product would be a lot better. Mm-hmm. I think you do see a lot better athlete now versus say 20 years ago. I just think kids are bigger, faster, stronger now, and that's just evolution. right?
And that'll
Yeah.
keep happening.
It'll
20 years
keep-
from now, it'll be same
Yeah,
thing.
Yeah.
Probably.
it'll keep happening. But I think if we were able to have kids more and practice more versus just go, hey,
Yeah.
this weekend we're going to Kentucky. Next weekend we're going to Indiana. Next weekend we're going to Georgia.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot.
Yeah.
on
So it's a
kid.
ton of travel. Like,
is.
And when you travel like that, you're not getting the time away. Right.
Right.
And so kids are getting burned out. They're getting, by the time they do get to the season, they've been playing all season. So they're kind of like just another basketball game.
Yeah.
Let's go.
The burnout's real. Like
Yeah.
it's a real thing. I mean, you can kind of look at it from like the perspective of women's athletics or girl athletics. Like you look at bigger schools, they're finding it more challenging to find athletes to play basketball.
Yeah.
And it's not just at like the smaller schools, but it's the bigger schools too.
Yeah.
Because they are doing a sport year round
Yeah.
and they don't have time to just say, hey, I want to go hang out with my friends.
Yeah.
I just want to unplug.
Yeah.
Right. I want to be a kid.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't become as fun.
Yeah.
And when it doesn't become fun, it really hurts the player.
Yeah. Do you think that one thing Rick and I talked a lot about was kids having more of a drive to go play or go do that on their own? Mm-hmm. Do you think that? I mean, like, so what I kind of mean by that is when I was growing up, I'd find 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guys, and we'd go play at Holden's.
Yeah.
That was during the summer. That was the best court to play at. Or we go and even now, not being in high school anymore or anything like that, I find 10 to 12 guys and we go play at the VAC. Do you think that kind of contributes to the burnout a little bit in a way, or to the numbers kind of dropping in especially bigger schools?
Like you're saying, they don't do it as much.
They don't do it as much for fun.
Yeah,
So-
I would agree with that because a big place where we used to play when I was growing up is Seifert Park. If you're familiar with it, in Muskegon, like everybody, like Muskegon Heights, Grand Haven kids, Shores kids would go play at Seifert Park.
Yeah.
And it would be packed. Like it's almost like Rucker Park.
Yeah.
If you're in New York, there's not that many people.
Yeah.
Right. And nobody is there now. They're turning like one of the courts into like a skate park.
Yeah.
So nobody goes there to play. And there's another court that's kind of like in the Mona Shores area, like probably 10 full length courts, and nobody goes there. So a lot of it might be because like they're playing other sports.
Yeah.
But the bigger thing now is that when we were in high school, at least for us, like he's younger than we are, we didn't have social media.
Not as
We
much,
didn't have
no.
phones as much.
Yeah.
So we didn't even have that many video games. So a lot of these kids are playing, like they play video games or they're just on their TikToks or on Snapchat.
Yeah. So Rick and I talked a lot about this actually. Most of the 2-hour long podcast we talked about it. And a question that we were trying to kind of answer is, why are kids not doing that anymore? Why are kids not picking up 10 guys and going to Holden's? Why are kids not? And what we the answer we kind of got to is that there's just more stuff to do.
There is.
Right.
Yeah.
And if they're not doing something, they're going to travel league. They're going to play travel baseball. They're going to go to a cross country meet for a private cross country meet, right? Or they're going to some sort of golf, junior golf thing.
Or they're just going to play golf for fun.
Yeah. Like there's so many more things. And you mentioned video games. There's video games. There's other stuff than playing basketball, which sometimes can be frustrating. It can sometimes be hard because it's you're not always going to be the best player on the court, right? And that's why you're not seeing the growth in the sport overall has lessened because there's not as many kids just doing it for fun. And then on top of that, basketball is not something that you can just pick up as an athlete and be really, really good at.
Yeah, it takes time.
Like football, I could be not that I am, because I'm obviously not, a top 10 athlete in the state and I could put some pads on and go run some routes and be a great football player. Like, I don't need to know much to be a
If you're
great
an
football
athlete,
player.
you're an athlete regardless. Yep.
Yeah. Basketball, that only gets you so far.
Yeah.
If you can't dribble and you dribble off your knee or your foot all the time, you're not going to get any minutes.
And now that part for boys now too is that if you're not a good basketball player, if you're not maybe as good as what your potential could be and you're taller,
Yeah.
there's an access for you now to play boys volleyball.
Yeah.
That's hugely growing sport. Phoenix Bowl actually plays volleyball for Davenport.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very good volleyball player. Maybe not as skilled basketball wise, but he had the perfect build for volleyball. 6'3", 6'4", longer, can jump.
Yeah. Like there's just so many more, avenues to have to fill that time. And then
For sure.
And then the reason kids aren't filling that with basketball is because it's just such the barrier of entry, I guess, to be good enough to play at this level. What was that? Did you guys hear that?
Ghost.
Yeah.
The barrier
Ghost in
of
the
Owen's messing with us.
the barrier of entry to get into basketball is so much higher than football and things like that because, like I said, if you can't dribble, you're not going to be a very good basketball player.
Right,
If you can't shoot, you might be an okay basketball player, but you're not going to be nearly as good on the court.
And like Greg and I talked about this a lot too. If you wanted to be like that, be a good basketball player at that elite level, you've really got to be able to put in time on your own and do things on your own.
Yeah.
You can't always have a coach there. You've got to have the will and the self-dedication to want to do it and get better on your own.
Yeah, it takes a certain type of personality.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
Rick said he had seen a lot of shrinkage in the growth of the kind of his program over the last few years. He said, I'd get 20 or 30 kids come into my, free class on a Saturday for younger kids, and now he gets maybe 5.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's a lot harder.
And I'm curious, do you see that at Nora?
Yeah.
A lot?
Yeah.
With just program shrinkage over the last few years?
It happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's just so many options now for kids to do.
Yeah.
Or they don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
And a lot of the kids that come through our programs, their parents are almost making them do it too, just because they want them to get out of the house and do something.
Yeah.
So when they're there, they're like, they don't want to be there the whole time too.
Yeah. So let's get off the gloomy, like why basketball's not going to be a sport anymore type stuff. You guys got kind of a big season ahead of you. Lots of with a new gym, and Whitehall is going to be a good game again this year. What kind of games are you guys looking forward to? What games so far on the schedule?
I mean, the Whitehall game's obviously always going to be number one.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, both home and away. I think the home game's always more fun to look forward to. Especially
Will it be played in the new gym? That's the question.
What time of year is that game? Do we know?
Well, the first one is actually at home.
Oh,
Okay.
We
So
play in the
probably not.
old gym, and then the second one is at Whitehall's gym.
We'll get one last crack at them at the old gym.
The one thing, okay, so I'm just going to say this. I don't like our schedule, how it is set up to where we're playing conference games in December.
yeah.
I think that needs to change. I think we got to start playing conference games in January because it's going to help. It will help everybody in our conference as far as
Yeah, because you get more practice time.
that too. And then also it's easier for us to schedule games as far as non-conference goes during the month of December when other schools are doing the same thing. Because there was a couple of times where we had a potential date for an out-of-conference game and we couldn't play it because we're already playing a conference opponent.
Yeah.
Which it is how it is, right? But yeah, Whitehall is definitely high on the list.
We got to go to Spring Lake.
I am excited about going to Spring Lake. Familiar environment to be there. It'd be good to be back in that gym. It's a crazy environment. Bill have his guys ready to go, and I'm sure Eric Kalin will have the radio station
Oh, they'll
there
be there
ready
for
to
that
go,
one,
and
sure.
Dan Davis will be there, and it'll be great to see those guys again. But I'm excited to go to Spring Lake.
Yeah. I mean, I think the last time I was in that gym was my senior year for the finals. We ended up playing Whitehall in the last game of the district finals, but it was at Spring Lake, and that gym it's weirdly set up.
Yeah,
It's
interesting.
It's a fun gym to play in, but it's like it reminds me a lot of Ravenna's gym. You know how Ravenna's gym is like very tall ceilings, but it's not very big.
They just don't have the extra bleachers in the back.
Yeah, there's no extra a little bit of bleachers off the back like Fruitport has, I think. But it reminds me a lot of how I hate playing.
The lighting's kind of weird in that gym.
Yeah.
The lighting's got the older lamps, but the
Yeah.
acoustics are like it's a loud gym. Bailey and I went there to watch Spring Lake play Grand Haven last year, and it was deafening. It was loud.
Yeah. No, the Whitehall Montague game that we played in there was loud. It was really loud. And man, Whitehall in a district final is, especially when it's district final and you have like Spring Lake there, or you have Fruitport or somebody else there. That gym fills up too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it does.
So
District final last year.
Yeah.
Orchard View, that was chaotic.
I do like Orchard View's gym.
Yeah.
My favorite by far, other than like Montague's, would be North Muskegon's.
Yeah, it's got that old
It's just
feel.
different.
It's an old gym. It's got a lot of history to it. A lot of great players play in that gym. It gets loud in there. The sound doesn't seem to escape that place.
Yeah. What's your favorite gym to play in?
Playing? Oh man.
Or coaching? I mean, it doesn't really.
So if I like playing wise, I like the Dutch Dome in Holland.
Yeah.
It was just different because you never really played in anything like that. Dome. They got the baskets that they wheel out,
Yeah.
and it's tough. I feel like if you've never played in a dome,
Yeah.
it's just different to shoot in because
Yeah, 'cause
everything looks closer because there's not a wall behind to kind of have some depth perception. So
Yeah.
that was cool and interesting. A lot of people have told me that the old pit, like old Grand Haven, like Lakeshore Middle School gym was like one of the best environments to play in.
I remember way back when I was younger, they had a game there, and my dad brought me to it, and it was like standing room only. It was the loudest environment I've ever been in.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
I know their Grand Haven's new gym
Yeah.
is massive.
Yeah, it's massive.
The warehouse,
It's-
it is loud. It still is loud in there.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think that, I mean, it's got 3 full-length courts, and it still gets loud.
Shelby's gym. I mean, like,
It's big. It's about the same size as that, I'd say. But they have like 4 sets of bleachers instead of just the 2. So at Shelby, it feels like it goes forever, like you're going
Yeah.
up those bleachers.
when I played in there over the summer with the bleachers in, and it just is like, this is not that big of a school to have this big of a gym.
Yeah.
Like, it's huge.
Yeah, we scrimmaged there last year.
Yeah.
I was thinking the
Yeah.
same thing.
And I'm like, what?
But the crazy thing is that they pack that place.
Yeah. Like, especially for volleyball. Like, volleyball last year was just packed with people. And I think the reason they built it so big was because when they built it, they had some really, really, really good basketball teams, and those gyms would just fill beyond the brim. I've heard a few times that the old Whitehall gym,
Is that the middle school?
was a cool place. I played in there a long time ago, like in middle school, and that was such a weird place to play because it was like half the gym had, like, the one side had a wall that just stopped everything, and then the other side it was just open. So you felt like you're gonna, on one side you're gonna run into a wall, and then on the other side there's nothing on the other.
At this moment, we'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Chris Wank, Century 21 First Class Realty. Looking to sell or purchase a new home, or perhaps invest in a plot of land? Chris Wank with Century 21 First Class Realty is your go-to expert. As a leader in West Michigan real estate, Chris brings unparalleled knowledge and dedication to every transaction. Don't wait. Call Chris Wank today at 616-414-5420 and take the first step towards your real estate dreams. Century 21 First Class Realty, your trusted partner in West Michigan property.
Kind of like what Mona Shores' auction gym looks like right now. I think it used to be their high school gym, where it's just a wall on one side and then the
Hanishin,
bleachers.
yeah, that's where we played in high
Yeah.
school. We played in that, and it was obviously the bleachers, and then they had the one set that goes up kind of like at Spring Lake.
Yeah.
If you're, like, visually, if you're picturing that. That was still one of the loudest games I can remember. We played Holland my junior year, and we were ranked 8th in the state, and they were 7th in the state, or vice versa. Which one, I don't know. But it was so loud. The whole thing was packed. You had cheerleaders at that point around the sidelines, and we had our band up there on the top too.
Yeah.
It was so loud.
So that gym, that's the one. So if you walk into like the main entrance of
Yeah, you go further down, and it's on the left.
I'm trying to remember. So you're going in. there's the new gym to the right.
Right.
Right as soon as you walk in to the right. And then if you keep going down, I thought it was on the right side.
No, if it's got, are you talking the one that's got like the people on the walls, like the volleyball players? Because it's not that one. It's got like the darker navy blue outline and the wall on one side and like lighter blue bleachers on one side.
Yeah, I think that's it. I might be thinking of a different one.
So
There's so many. We played in.
They have 3 gyms, so that their facilities are like boom, 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 perfect for youth sports. Like, they're just all right there.
How much do you think the adding of the new floor, the bigger gym, and then having the old gym and the other 2 gyms at Montague is going to improve? Just having those youth leagues, having that.
That's one thing that I've been pretty adamant about is just being able to work together with White Lake Youth Sports and try to combine those to get more of our kids access to play.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that having the new gym with the baskets are able to go down.
Yeah.
And you're going to be able to have 2 courts that have that capability. Yeah. So you can put the younger kids there, move the other kids to the high school gym and doing the same thing. And then we got the middle school right there too. So you got 6 courts, going at the same time. I mean, they're all right next to each other.
Yep.
One building, you don't need to leave the building.
No, that would be awesome. And then there's like the concession stuff in there is nicer. You got the
it's gonna be great. And like I said, just giving kids access to that stuff is important.
Yeah,
because the more they have, I think the more excited they'll get to play there. Yeah, not just us, like for obviously Whitehall kids too, because we're all one big community. It's going to benefit everybody.
So one question did it ever surprise you? I know obviously you didn't know Montague even existed until like a week ago, but
I don't know about a week ago, maybe a few years ago.
But so like the rivalry between Montague and Whitehall, I mean, like from an outsider's perspective, which I wouldn't consider you outsiders right now, but before, did it just sometimes not make any sense because of how close we were?
No, I mean, coming from Grand Haven, I mean,
or that we weren't.
Spring Lake's a big rival, and it's kind of the same concept. Like we're very close. We had the bridge in between us.
Yeah. So when we first moved back, and first time my mom lived here, and she's like, it doesn't make any sense because there's a bridge that's literally 100 feet long that separates 2 schools. Why are they not the same school?
It's crazy to think about.
And then on top of that, the size difference between those 2 schools is,
I mean, they're not 600 and 400, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that 200 doesn't sound like a lot of kids, but that's a lot of kids.
Yeah,
like,
it makes a difference.
Yeah. So with that new gym, I know you guys did the 3-on-3 thing this last summer.
Yeah.
Do you guys plan on doing anything else? Maybe like a men's league or something?
I know we've talked about Whitehall does a men's summer league, so I think that they've been pretty established with that. They used to do a men's league at North Muskegon too. They used to do one in Grand Haven as well. I think that's pretty established. As far as a men's league goes, I think there's different variations of a men's league that you could do. I think
I can tell you right now, we would have a CatchMark men's league team if you did one.
Yeah,
I guarantee. I'm not even kidding.
There's probably other person in the building that'd be itching to go at that. But I think that I think a men's 3-on-3 league would do pretty well.
Yeah,
here.
I know that they do. So I started to play in one at West Shore. And the drive sucked because it's all the way up in Ludington.
Right, but here being closer.
Yeah, like I know for sure that like one of the big things that I didn't like and that I knew other people didn't like about that was like the only one around here.
Yeah.
Because the one for Whitehall fills up in like 5 seconds. Like
the men's league.
You can't get and if you don't sign up in the first 3 days to a week, you're not going to get in it.
And you're probably not going to win it because Burrell's going to stack his team and
Willie?
No,
or Brandon? They playing out there?
B, yeah.
So
he just wants to win.
But if we had one at Montague, I know we get a CatchMark SportsNet crew up in there. First of all, that'd be the first thing. We would have a.
Would you invite Noah or no?
He doesn't work here.
Well, I know, but that's what I'm asking.
No, he's got to work here. That's the thing.
Team Wrath.
Well, I don't know.
Brenton.
I don't know.
Would your dad be on the team or?
So the funny thing is,
coaching the team.
He might coach the team. He might be the coach, and we might have a few fights.
I can see that.
So the funny thing is, so my grandpa, he was from Shelby, and he played in the men's league when my dad was a kid, and he got like set the record in the league for like the most technicals in a season.
Perfect.
Like my grandpa did, and it was hilarious. My dad's only ever gotten one tee in Mona Shores League as a coach for the younger travel kids. Got a tee because he asked the ref a question, and it wasn't like you know how Trent Felt asks questions, right? Like where it's super condescending and it's kind of like you're
And
not
like
really
dancing around
Yeah.
a little bit. Yeah.
It wasn't
Arms
like that.
are flailing. Can't believe it. This guy.
It wasn't like that. It was like, hey, I don't understand this rule. Can you explain it to me?
Yeah.
And the ref turned around and teed him up. And then the
Which
ref,
is reasonable, I think. That's the reasonable question.
yeah,
Can you explain this to me?
Yeah.
Why did you call this?
yeah. And so he got teed. That was the only other time. And then Owen got his first tee last year or 2 years ago.
Yep, waving off the ref.
Which was, I also think that was a questionable tee. I could see it, but I also don't really see it.
You tried to get one last year.
You're gonna see.
We both
At
tried
the
to
end
get
of the
one last
skiing
year.
game, you tried getting one
No,
there.
don't put just me in that.
right.
You also tried to get a
There was
tee.
a lot of emotions going on at the end of that game. That was a
Hey.
crazy game.
That was a bad call. I'm gonna be honest. It hit the roof. It should have been dead. Like it should have stopped the clock. Now, could we have done other things to not have that be the situation in that game?
There was a couple
Yes.
plays before that.
Yeah.
It could have been different.
Did you even see what happened?
Did it hit the rope or something that was up there?
No. Well, no. What happened to Bailey and I? After no. So what happened? The ball hit the ceiling, which is usually called a dead ball. There's should have
Yeah.
been
Because
two
they just threw the
This
ball in
was
the air
at
to drain
our.
the
This
clock.
is at our gym, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the kid
Yeah.
like goes like this with like 5-6 seconds left,
And he
travels
hit it.
through the air, hits the ceiling, and the refs are just walking out of the gym and just
Oh,
not
yeah.
saying anything. And so Bailey and I are like, we're like, what? And like losing our minds, which to be fair is like we probably should have calmed down a little bit. But
Yeah.
it was a legitimate, like I don't usually get that upset during a game. And I was that upset at that game.
Well, and some of that was partially because of how we were playing at the end of that
Yeah,
game too.
and
It wasn't
so-
all on the refs necessarily, but
Yeah. So then we're like as trying, like not yelling at the ref, but like trying to get his attention, like asking him why. And he's like, he came up to us. He's like, if you guys don't shut up, I'm going to kick you out of here and you're going to get a tee. And I'm like, the clock's out. How can we get a tee after the game?
Yeah, you
and
can.
you can they have to be off the
happens.
court before they
Yeah.
can call, before you're fine.
Yeah.
But that's the closest I've ever been. I've never even come sniffed one.
So this is wild,
Then again-
actually. So between Emick and I, we have one technical in our entire coaching careers, and Emick was the one that got it because we were at East Kentwood.
it's
Okay,
a pretty hostile place.
it's. I mean, especially when you're beating them, and it's like you're at East Kentwood, and so we get the ball and it's tied, and Harrison is dribbling the ball up the sideline, and Greg is like looking for an official to call a timeout, right? So this official, like you always look for the trail official because they're right there, they're closest, and that's what they tell you. Like
Yeah.
look for the trail,
Yeah.
find him, timeout. We're not getting a timeout. So Greg is like on the floor, like the baseline. So if this is the baseline, he's like literally right there, right in front of the ref, like jumping up and down, calling timeout. So the trail official grants us the timeout, right? The center official at half court rings Greg up for a tee because he's on the floor during play.
Yeah.
So we get the timeout, we get a technical, and we're just like, what just happened here? So Kentwood goes up by 2 because they get the 2 free throws,
Yeah.
then they get the ball. So then we steal the ball, we tie it up, we come back down, and somebody hits a 3, and we end up winning the game. But that's the only technical we've had, and it was just like that wild.
Yeah. That's crazy. I know, like, I've seen a few. I watched a Muskegon Heights kid get one and plow. He just plowed right through me, got a flagrant, which is a foul and a technical. So he just, like, I mean, this kid, and it was a JV game, and I, like, was going to take the charge. Like, Jack Deegan, I'm taking the charge. And
Jack Deegan.
And so it's the only charge I've ever taken. And this kid just dipped his entire shoulder, like picked up the ball, and football ran through me. And I was like, I got up. I knew he was going to call charge. And then, but instead I looked over and the guy calls a flagrant. And I was like, we were down like 2 points, and I was losing my mind. We made both free throws. We ended up losing the game off of some crazy three that this kid hit with 2 guys on him, faded away from the corner, and it went in. And I was like, "Are you kidding me right now?" Then I saw Owens last year. Then the Fruitport kid last year, Jake Heiss, worked some magic apparently, and that was wild.
Ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be wild this year too because a couple points of emphasis from like rules meetings where like taunting is a big one. Like you can't do anything now. Like even if you do like the arrow thing that everybody does, even if you do it and it's not at somebody, it's a technical. Flopping this year is a thing. So you get a warning and then it's a team tech. So they're really, this year, it seems like they're really clamping down on the sportsmanship type things and the littler things that they
So something that
don't do in
surprised me that I haven't seen over the last few years is slapping the backboard. From what I knew, that was always a tech.
It's only if it affects the...
Only if it affects the shot.
Yeah, only if it's not an attempt to block the basketball, like a blatant attempt not to block the ball. So if you're going up and you do a layup and then you just go up and slap the backboard, that's a tee. But if the kid's going up for a layup and you slap the backboard, that's not a tee.
So like, if I'm like, say I got the ball and I taking my 2 dribbles and a kid, he's not gonna block it, and I'm going up on the left side and he comes back and he slaps the right side of the back.
It's not a tee.
Doesn't make any sense.
I know.
That's the dumbest thing ever.
It's wild. I know.
Well, it's all referee discretion at the end of the day, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And generally for that, they're not gonna. I don't think they would call a technical on that unless it was like 1,000% obvious that he's not trying to block your shot.
Yeah.
We saw a tee last year that it actually benefited us, but I was surprised it got called, and I think one player just said something, but it wasn't loud enough for anyone to hear it.
Yeah,
that was at home, I remember. And
yeah,
so
usually
I think they were
if
kind of cracking down a little bit last
year.
If
officials feel like you're being disrespectful to them, they're gonna ring you up.
Yeah, and a lot of times it depends on the game too, because if it's, Montague Whitehall, the reason that Owen got that tee was not because he necessarily did something completely blatantly disrespectful. It was just because the ref's got to keep it in line. Like his goal there was to not have things get out of hand, and if in his mind, if he lets that one thing go, it compounds and becomes something bigger.
Which we're lucky for. At least for West Michigan, we have a lot of great officials in the area. I couldn't say more about our officials that we have. They generally do a good job of officiating a game and managing it.
Let's take another moment to thank our sponsor, Shoreline Restoration and Construction. Did a storm recently hit your business, home, or other building? Then Shoreline Restoration and Construction can help. They are a leader in remodels, new construction, and much, much more. They also restore water-damaged buildings, flooded basement, and so much more.
Their best ability is in...
So one other thing another rules thing that I've seen not called almost every single season, I see it at least 4 times. I see a lot of players actually doing this now. The catch the ball and then shift your feet and then go. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
And I see a lot of very bad offenders of this and it doesn't get called anymore.
Yeah.
Like at all. And I don't know why. Do you guys know what I'm talking about, right?
I know there was some we noticed last year.
There's a lot that goes into it, I feel like, too, because number one, it's like the guy that's making the call is the trail official. Like it's in his area. That's where he's looking. And I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, he's not looking, I'm watching your feet. Like, no, he's watching the ball. And then the other thing I think is just like the understanding of kind of what the rule is like, so I can pick up my pivot foot. I just have to do something before my other foot comes down. So it's like the girl layup that like you do the up and under, you step through, you jump off, and you do the layup, right? Like one of my assistants at Grand Haven always say, that's a travel. Like it's always a travel. And I'm like, well, you can pick it up as long as you don't put it down. So you're telling me that I can throw a pass like this? So he would catch the ball and he would step and he would take another step, like bring his pivot up and then throw the ball. But he was like 6'7", so he took up like almost...
Was that Ron Peters?
Yeah. So he took up a lot of space. I'm like, you're good.
Well, so this isn't even that. This is more like I'm getting a fast break. You're going down the middle of the lane, and I'm going out to the wing, right, and flaring out, and you lean into your guy and you kick it out to me in the corner, right? I'm seeing a lot of normally what you have to do is when you're catching the ball, land in the position you want to go, and then go. What I'm seeing now is a lot of guys, they are not catching the ball in the air. They're catching the ball, landing, then shifting their feet, then going, which to me is a travel, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no way that's not a travel because you're catching the ball, then you've established your pivot foot, even if it doesn't look like it, and then you've then shifted it. No matter what foot you choose, you're changing both feet, so you've then shifted both feet, and it's even if one or the other is a pivot foot, you're shifting your pivot foot, right?
It could be a discretionary thing too.
But I haven't seen it called at all.
No,
Even in college, in NBA too, which I know NBA can.
it's different
Yeah,
rule.
but in college and especially high school, in my mind, that's bad footwork. Like if you're catching it and then shifting your feet after you've landed, that's bad footwork. You should know how to.
Yeah.
Like I can't. Jim Tate, Brad Tate's dad. When I was growing up playing basketball, he helped coach with Brad on our 8th grade team, and one of the things he taught me was how to properly do that. And he said, you always start with always start with your right foot back if you're a right foot or right-handed shooter. So whenever I catch, I always have my right foot back because at that point I've established that my left foot is my pivot foot because my right foot's back and that's the one I'm going to use to step into my shot. And I'm not seeing that anymore. I'm seeing kids catch.
Yeah,
and
catch
then
on two or like the stagger catch. That's how the footwork is pretty much taught nowadays. Either you catch it on two or you catch it staggered and you just go or you just shoot.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just.
I'll point it out to you next time. Like when we're watching film, I'll point it out to you and see if
I think I know what you mean, but it's just like I think it happens so quick. Like unless you're like just get it and go, like the get it and go, like I see called a lot by that trail guy. Like he'll just go and it's done. But I haven't seen it called as much.
Yeah. So I think I pointed out to you last year a few times, and I'm like, that's got to be a travel, right?
Connor, us sitting by each other, you pointed a lot of stuff out of me.
Okay. No, what I do a lot is hold you and Trent back because you guys will like lose your minds about some calls, and I'm like, guys, calm down. That's not a call, right? Trent more than you, but I've had to
Trent's
do it.
got a lot of emotions when he coaches.
That guy. I played golf with him this season, and the member guest at Oceana. That was wild. That was an experience. I played terrible. And
He's definitely has a lot of energy.
yeah, that guy. I'm
bad.
excited to coach with him this year.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
I think
he
two
is
of you
good.
together will be quite interesting.
It'll be
In a
funny
good way.
too because I'm going to have my cousin and my second cousin on the team, just below, because Isaiah King will be up playing probably with us, and then
Potentially.
and then Ethan Balon potentially will also be playing. I don't know if he's actually going to play yet.
The Balon girls are very good too. Like the younger ones, they're very good. That play. I don't know if they go to NBC or if they go to what's that? New Era Christian.
Yeah, I think it's
the
New
other
Era
one.
Christian right now.
Yeah.
So Ethan is my second cousin, and he plays soccer right now, and I was just talking to him the other day. He's pretty pumped for basketball season. He said that he was going to play. Last I knew, he wasn't going to play, and they change their mind every 5 seconds. So you never know. It's like watching Owen try and figure out what he wants to do in college. But yeah,
Sounds like he's found a spot now.
He's found his niche.
yeah. Now he has JUCO legend.
There we go.
So
Early yet.
during the off season, what are you guys kind of doing, to fill the time now that you don't, there's no more basketball? I mean, there is, but there's not really a ton of stuff to do basketball wise. I know you teach.
Yeah, not in the summertime. Are you talking?
No,
Or
like just in the off season in general.
Oh, man, I'm doing a lot of stuff, like getting ready for the year. Like sporadically, I'll text Bailey like an idea that I have and what his thoughts are on it, and watching a ton of film, not only from us, from other teams, other colleges, going on college visits.
Yeah.
And then usually like in the summertime, if we're not doing basketball, I will either work out basketball wise myself, or I'm playing golf to just get out there and just get mentally away from basketball a little bit. So that's always nice.
So are you going to be pulling up to Sunday Open gyms at NBC this year?
I did that.
You came one time
I came one time, and Randy and I were on the same team, and it was not fair. Mr. Fundamental out there, and I like right now I really can't move as much because I have a bone spur. It's attached to my Achilles. So if I go work out, it's like I'm not jumping often. I'm just shooting and a lot of slow movements. But I went there and was shooting decent. Like I always shoot good. I just don't move well anymore.
Humble brag.
I am humble, but just don't get me in a
You
competitive.
ever watch him shoot free throws?
No, I have
He
not.
doesn't miss very many of them. When he gets going, he gets going.
I'm not going to tell that. That no one will believe that if I tell that story.
What do you mean? I'll believe it.
So just shooting on the gun and in the morning. So I get there at 6
Time
some
frame
days
for this? Like when was this?
in the morning.
No,
Like in
when,
the
like-
summertime, I'll go in there at like 6 in the morning, and just whenever I'm done, I'm done.
No, I mean like when was this? As in like what year?
No, like this summer.
Oh,
like
this summer? Okay.
This past summer.
Or are you by yourself in this case?
No, there was a janitor that was in there sleeping around me. And,
Okay.
So yeah.
So yeah, you're by yourself.
yeah, and
Pulling one by yourself.
sent a picture to the camp, and it had a number on it. And like I don't use the sensor on one of our guns that I get out because it doesn't calculate. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't, like the sensor doesn't work no matter how you adjust it.
Yeah.
The bottom number was 137.
Yeah.
But the other number didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Like it was just blank because I didn't have the sensor. So I sent it to the camp, and he's like, "Man, 0 for 137 isn't that good." And I'm just like, "I could send you the other picture, but you won't believe it." So I sent it to him, and it was 137. So I made 137 free throws in a row.
Oh, free throws. Yeah, I could believe that.
Yeah.
I made
That's still pretty tough to do.
that is tough.
But this was like I was I wasn't even like remotely thinking about it. I was just like shooting, like just form.
Quick break from the action to thank our sponsor. Meraki Performance is a leader in performance coaching. Whether you're looking to motivate your business or your athletic team, Meraki Performance can help. Check them out at merakiperform.com.
Like figuring it out, like different things or whatever, and just I blacked out and just.
So when I played JV, we were shooting free throws one day, and the goal was see how many you can make in a row. And you got the first two you went until you made 3 in a row. So if you missed your first 3 or if you missed one before 3, you would restart. But I went all the way to like 58 was the most I've ever made in a row. And it was just like me, like you said, it's just you going like
The craziest stat is, and this is remarkable, is so we do like this 100-point game.
Yeah.
For shooting. So you start in the corner you start shooting threes.
Yeah.
Right. And then when you miss, you go to 15 feet. And then when you miss, you go to the next spot. So there's 5 spots around the basket, right? Emick got to 120, and he was at the 3rd spot.
Jeez. That's impressive.
It was ridiculous. Like I didn't see anything like that. I'm just sitting there rebounding for him, and he's just draining shots.
I've seen some film on him. He looks like he's pretty good.
He is very good. He's probably one of the top 5 players I've played with.
Yeah.
Or been in the gym with. Like, he's very good.
So in the off season, what are you doing, Bailey? And you work for Nora, so obviously you're doing that.
Yeah,
but
well,
outside of that.
our busy time at Nora, at least on my end of things, is the spring, summer, fall.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of work. Softball leagues, baseball leagues, stuff like that. So
I know I'm back to I play basketball every Sunday, Monday right now, playing up at, or not basketball. I play soccer on Sundays, which I haven't played soccer in years, and I started playing like 2 weeks.
Indoor soccer?
No,
Or
it's outside. There's a group of people that go up to. They were going to Township. I think we're going to go inside to the VAC coming up here soon. But I hadn't played soccer in like months, or years actually, like since the alumni game like 2 or 3 years ago. And I was like, my mom and dad had been playing at Township over in Montague, and I was like, man, I'm not doing anything tonight. Why don't I go over there and play with them? And I went and bought cleats because obviously I don't have any cleats because the last time I played was 2 or 3 years ago. And so I went and bought cleats and went and played, and I was a lot better than I thought I was. And like at some point in the last 5 years of not doing anything, I've developed the proper form to like actually shoot a soccer ball, which I didn't know I even had, because when last time I played, that was like the one I toe ball everything because I didn't know how to actually do it.
Oh, interesting.
And so, and all of a sudden, it like just came to me on the other, like 2 weeks ago, and I was just able to do it. I'm like, where is this coming from? So that was a big help. But then on Mondays, I've been playing basketball at the VAC, and that's a ton of fun. Like just getting a bunch of guys and going up and playing. And it's funny how much different my game has changed from, high school to a year out of high school to 2 years out of high school, 3 years out of high school. It's so much different. I would say I'm better than I was in high school considerably, but I play slower than I did in high school, and I played slow in high school.
Yeah.
But it's a different type of slow. It's like
You
slow
just see
fast.
There's less pressure now when you're playing too,
Right.
opposed to when you're playing in high school, and
I would say
your,
yes,
your
but
body
those,
is changing from time to time.
Obviously.
You just see the game a little differently.
Yeah.
Too.
So like I would say like playing, and now we're super competitive. Like I'm talking like if it's 10-10, somebody's going to get hacked if they shoot a 3. So it's the pressure's on definitely, but for me it's like even shooting, my form has changed because I can't really jump as well as I used to be able to. So it's like it's a lot more arms. But I get to the rim a lot better than I used to, which that was always a big thing. Like I was never able to get to the rim. Like I was too slow, not quick enough first step, but now I just am able, I'm a lot heavier than I was in high school.
Crafty is that's the word.
Yeah. So like I'm doing stuff like we were joking around before the podcast that I did this. I cooked Owen the other night when he came. When I played, it was because I'm doing the like veer step more lately, and so I'm able to like get fancy with the hands, and I just kept doing that because that's the only thing I can do. Is I'm not jumping very high. It's more of a glide, like a 2-inch glide.
Yeah.
So it's so much different than how I used to play. Like if I went and played in a men's league, it would be completely different than how I would play in a men's league 2 or 3.
Generally they're younger kids, right, that are playing in men's league now, I would think, like the kids that are just out of college or close to being out of college, and you're just not in good enough shape to hang with those guys. Like,
I've had to definitely find different ways to be competitive. Like I know I'm a liability on the defensive end. I mean, like all I am is the guy gets by me, he's coming down to the floor.
That's kind of how it is.
Unlimited fouls.
Like right when I get over half court, if you're not on me and getting the ball, it's going up.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Like that was one of the funner things, like playing with Josh Walters.
Oh, that dude, he can shoot.
Yeah, so we get like me, Greg, and him on the same team, and it's just like you got to guard us all at the volleyball line or further back. And Wally, when he gets it, it's just like it's gone. And it's in like almost every time. Like that kid was a sniper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played him a couple of times in like Friday morning stuff a while back, and I'd just turn around and just chuck it up and it'd go in.
Yeah. But that's how he shot.
And he's also
every
like
time.
6'6", so it's not like you can do much about it
Yeah,
either.
because he's just shooting over you.
Yeah, he's gonna shoot over you every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's been learn how to play. I think in all sports, learn how to play when you don't move as well has definitely been like even in golf. Like I hit the ball farther than I did in high school, but like the swing has to change because I'm swinging faster, and so it's harder to tell. Like it's harder to be consistent, right?
Yeah.
Because it's changing so much because I'm swinging faster. I went from a 95 mile an hour club head speed to like 107 now, which is a huge jump. And so when you're swinging that fast and you tend to hit a like a little fade at 95 mile an hour, when you get to 107, it's now a slice because your club face is open and it's coming at it so much faster that it puts more spin on it and it cuts way off to the right.
I know. I'm pretty good at the slice.
You are?
Not on purpose, but it happens.
So you're the guy who aims 90
I'll
degrees
not
into the
that
wood?
far, but I will usually
Aim in the
purposely
woods,
aim
and
to
then
the
when you
left.
want to hit a cut.
The funniest thing
But
was
it goes on the middle then. It's like
playing with Trent in the member guest, he could not hit a cut. He couldn't hit a fade. Anything right wasn't possible. So every time you saw him, he'd aim a little bit right. And it just always come back into the fairway. Just a little draw back into the fairway. But every time I'm like, dude, do you ever hit a cut? And he's like, no, it's never happened. I'm like, what? What?
It really stinks when you are aiming to the left and you actually hit one straight.
Yeah, done
And
that a
that
few
ball's
times.
still gone. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
I hit it well. Just didn't aim my feet very well.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on. I'm excited for the season coming up. I'm excited to see the new gym. And I think it's going to be a good season this year, and I think we'll be competitive. I think the Whitehall game, I'm super pumped for that. Not only will I be covering it, but I'll also be coaching, the JV.
Yeah.
So it'll be
good. It'll be fun.
Yeah. So I appreciate you guys coming on, and I think that's kind of it for the podcast today.
Cool. Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
We
thanks for having
appreciate
us.
it.